Life Esteem, a program committed to delivering information that's important to you and your community.
Hello and welcome again to Life Esteem. It's always great to have you as a viewer. Hey, today we're going to talk about Nike One. You say Nike? Yeah, Nike One. It's a little different. And we have Angelo and Gino Craig, and they are the founders of Nike One.
How you doing today?
All right, real good. Tell us all about it, man. What's Nike One all about? And I'm going to stare at you, Angelo.
Nike One is a program that my brother and I had come up with. We're about mental health and intervention with the juveniles. We've both been directly and indirectly involved with the juvenile system. Myself as a mobile therapist, behavior specialist, and a counseling, master's degree in counseling, and working in the community. We've always had a passion of giving back to our community. So we've decided to come together and take both our experiences, and I'll let him talk about his own experiences, and formulate something where we can intervene with the youth, in particular young youth of color, but it's not just excluding to them, but including anyone from the inner city, the urban areas. Nike One stands for, N stands for when you meet someone or meet a client, N would stand for they're in the neglecting phase. And then I would, as we delve into what some of their issues are, would be to identify. Then K would give them knowledge, and then E would be to enforce those tools. And then one would, you become one at that point. We're all at a level, or N or I or K, or some of us are at an E in our lives. So it's just about getting those individuals and then trying to make them become a better person and then get them out the system.
I like that.
Collectively, between the counseling and his drug and alcohol component and our mentoring, we probably bring between 65 and 70 years of experience collectively in this area. So we're not new to this, and this is a passion of ours.
Fantastic. Gino.
So my end of it is, working in the drug and alcohol field for the past 15 years, also working in the school district with special needs children, and those with behavior issues. So those are my strong focal points that I like to work on, and my passion as well. Like my brother said, growing up in the community, knowing the issues and the things that happen here and what we need, we're able to identify a lot of these things and attack it differently. With a more a passionate approach, because we're more invested than most people, because most people don't come from our neighborhoods or our towns. They come from other places and don't really understand what's going on here and understand what the youth are dealing with. So just trying to empower them, change their way of thinking, change their way of understanding things, let them know that their neighborhood is just a micro part of this whole scheme. So they have to learn how to deal and understand things outside of their neighborhoods and their social environments. So like once again, so we can be not just one, but an expanded and a well-knowledged one.
Very good. Very
how
good.
do you get youth get to you? How are they referred?
Well, at this point,
outreach, or how does that happen?
We're doing personal referrals. We're in some further discussions with other entities to try to make this bigger. And again, like Gino said, to personalize it. We know there's other agencies out there, but we bring not only the experience, but he said the passion, the community, the sense of presence, people knowing our backgrounds, being a familiar face, and showing them that, hey, if we came from, Hall Manor, and we've been, again, collectively all around the world, that you can do the same thing. So we're not an image or something you see on television that you can't touch or feel, that is it feels unattainable. We could talk about our life experiences and our travelings throughout the world, because again, we had proper guidance and we had other resources in our lives. So we're trying to be a third party, or whatever resource for these individuals to show them, hey, I can do it too. If they can do it, and they come from the same background environment that I've come from, then why can I not go and travel the world and be a productive part of our society?
Fantastic. Well, you know, right now, of course, this is a interesting time. Let's put it that way, because there's so much going on, and right now we have schools who really are struggling with what to do with these young folks in terms of their behavior. You know, being able to teach them is one thing, but being able to corral them and keep them, you know, on task. And we have a society now that, you know, I mean, we all love going to movies and stuff like that, but we're adults and we see things. Some of these young people go and they want to act out and see, you know, act like the things that they see on the screen, and that doesn't translate well into school, community, whatever. They get locked up quicker, right? Yes, thrown out quicker, you know, the whole 9 yards. So your task is big and large. Where do you start with something like that? I mean, what's the main thing that you try to reach and do with youth? And by the way, do you involve the whole family unit when you work with them, or just, you know, just the youth itself?
Well, that's all a collective part of this whole thing, is starting with the youth, letting them know that they are, like, where I work at a drug and alcohol facility, so when I run certain groups, and they say, you know, my daily goal, and at my daily goal with my affirmation, my affirmation is, I am somebody. Okay. And I make them repeat that at times. Yeah. They don't have to, but when people do stuff more free-willing, it means a little more to them than somebody making them. So we want to teach our youth that they are somebody, that our lives do matter. They don't have the understanding that their lives matter because I think they don't understand what life is. You know, like you said, TV, videos, we take it to the TV, they see people get have murdered or whatever, but those people will come back to life because that's TV. They don't equate that to real life, because maybe they're thinking these people might come back and they don't. Then the video, you know, the social media, people want to be a director. So if you watch a lot of this nonsense that's on these videos, you have, you know, our young kids out there fighting and beating up and stomping one another. Why? Because they want to be world star, have their video placed somewhere, and it's just a frenzy, and it is really, it's killing our youth, and it's, you know, it's just giving us a worse name than we already had, you know, we need to get rid of that and become more productive citizens. Absolutely.
Now, what about, you're talking about the behavioral issues and concerns. What do you think the two of you can bring to assist and help support these young people and looking at a better way to present themselves and to really try to live by rules that are really for their benefit in a lot of instances, and allow them to eventually grow up to be contributing society members and do things? What kinds of things do you do with them?
Well, like Gino said, first it starts at home. Their role models have to start at home. Again, it starts at home, but we quickly translate into the images they put in front of themselves every day. Reality TV is the biggest money maker on television, because you really don't have to have any talent to be on TV. So people grow up thinking, okay, if they could be on TV and they're not quote unquote trained actors, then I could be on television. Again, social media, everyone has a voice now. And that's not always a good thing.
That's right.
You know, we always say everything's not for everybody. And we have to put things in perspective. And like Gino said with the great example, these people get shot on television, but you know, at the end there's a camera saying cut, and they get up and they go home. Whereas, you know, the recent increase in violence already this year in 2015, you know, with the youth, we're not even talking about adults. We're talking about, you know, 14, 15-year-olds. You know, the shootings and the killings. You know, there's a bigger problem there. Again, the videos. I've been to Las Vegas several times. I've seen 50 Cent. I've seen the rappers and all these individuals they try to emulate. And the irony of it is, the things that they portray in the videos, that's not what they are. When I seen 50 Cent in Las Vegas, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, he literally had a suit and tie on all weekend. But there were no cameras there to see that. You know, when I saw Lil Wayne there that same weekend, there was not all the bling bling that you see on the videos. You know, no jewelry on whatsoever. So again, you know, we can serve as, hey, the things that you see are not really accurate, because we can testify from personal experience. So to answer your question, if we have to start at home, parents have to be more of a parent versus a friend. That's a new cultural thing now, generational thing, where parents are more inclined to want to be your friend versus your parent.
Yeah.
They want to be your, they want to be your, after they get to a certain age, let's go out together. There's certain things that, parents shouldn't do with their children.
Right.
And again, so we're growing up teaching these children, misguided values. So their value system and their base system is completely off than what norm says it should be. And again, they don't think it's any different because that's all they know.
That's all they know. That's all they know. So it's really refreshing, by the way, to see two brothers, create a partnership here during this year. You guys both are you from Harrisburg?
Yes.
Okay, so you're born and raised. You know this area.
Hallman.
Redden Hallman. Okay, so you come up out of that whole what they call the projects. We don't like to call it that anymore, right?
Brick City.
Yeah. But the issue is, that now the young people, unfortunately, a lot of them that are coming out of the projects are doing well, but you never hear about them.
Right.
You only hear about those who commit those crimes and this and that, and so people kind of glorify that stuff. It's crazy. So let's talk about this then. We have, like I said, a lot of concerns out there with the schools, with everything else. Do you find much support? For example, with your agency, you guys are relatively new, Nike One, but you're going to need support. So let's talk about some of the things that you need support on. What kind of barriers are you trying to overcome right now in a new startup business to do the kind of work you're trying to do?
As always, it's always financial, but that's not going to stop us because it hasn't stopped us. Because if we didn't do it in a regular setting, we did it when people called us. I've been called out of my house at 11 p.m. at night to go have a family session with folks that's having a crisis and getting home at 1:30. So this is, challenge is always going to be there. And that's what we got to teach the younger ones, like challenges are always going to be there. You have to want to succeed as much as you want to breathe. See, until they understand something like that, until you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, and that doesn't mean succeed as a monetary, that means being successful in whatever you want to do. My track coach, where I went to school at, Mr. Leroy Galloway, always told me, he was like, whatever you want to be the best at what you're going to be. If you're going to be a trash man, be the best trash man. I don't think they understand stuff like that. They look at jobs like that like, I wouldn't take a job or do that. No, but have some pride about what you do. That'll go over into your next field that you're going to go into, and people are going to see those qualities and understand that, oh, maybe we can move this person up and move them up. I think our kids lack a lot of self-esteem and role models. Your mom can't, our mother raised us, they can be a role model, but we need some more positive brothers out there. And I know there are some out there, I know some myself, but we need more. We need more people to get on the bandwagon. You have to buy in on this positiveness.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you that because, we always say that there's a lack of male involvement, men. And so here you are, two men creating an agency like this. And I think you're pretty unique. I don't know if there are too many other African-American agencies that are trying to do the same things, created by you guys. There are a lot of people in the field, of course, but you guys are doing something. So here you are, startup, finance is always an issue. So how do we get the churches, the counties, the states, and all those people, the federal governments, how do we get them involved with agencies like yours? Have you been able to knock on some doors and meet people at this point?
Well, we're presently knocking.
Okay.
And we're confident and we're prayerful that these doors will open, because what we're bringing in, and we've alluded to a few times, is something different, something unique. Our approach, our identity, our physical makeup, because again, the lack of the male presence in our community is way beyond needed. So again, to touch on some of the things Gino was saying, the self-esteem issue is, I think, at an all-time low. I have a counseling degree, and I've been a student advisor. And as a student advisor, you have students come in and they tell you what their career goals are. I've had, I always, laugh and joke, personally at home or with, friends about how many times I've seen students come in and want to become nurses, but they're afraid of blood. They want to become nurses, but they're not. Their strength is not in science, but they want to become nurses only because of the dollar amount. And I've seen other people say, well, you have a gift in this area, but Mr. Angelo, that doesn't make a lot of money. So it's all about money first. And I said, well, there's a difference between what you like and what you're good at. I always just, my famous example was, I like to sing in the shower, but nobody in their right mind is going to give me a recording contract. You know, but so liking it and being good at it are two different things. And I think the self-esteem, their vision is clouded with just because I like it, do it. And if I have enough energy and drive, you know, I can make it. But you also have to be talented and put the time in, like he said, to do it. And they don't want to put the time in because there's so much overnight success.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Seemingly, exactly.
You're
right. Right. And they think it's, you know, when they see the reality shows, but they don't know that most reality shows, the people are making $5,000 to $7,000 per episode. That's not a lot of money. But because we see them on the big screen, we assume that they're all millionaires, and they're not.
And the way they got there in the first place was they had to have agents, they had to have this, had that. So by the time you take that money, you know, you say, well, that is a lot of money. And then you look up and no, it's not, because you're dividing it through so many different people. Let's talk about this for a minute. You know, listen, we're talking about how a lot of our youth are really dealing with some serious issues and things. Is that just an urban problem? Is it a suburban, urban? Is it everybody? What's going on here? Where do you find the most need? Is it everywhere?
I'm going to talk about the drug epidemic. It's everywhere. You know, the drug epidemic doesn't have no picks. It's everybody. You know, it's from your rich neighborhoods all the way down to the projects. And it's sad, you know, a lot of people, you know, from working at the rehabs and working with adolescents and juveniles in a juvenile rehab, they all say they're bored. So we're missing something that stimulates the mind. So in some schools, they're taking out the art. They're taking out music. They're taking out gym. So if you're taking out these, well, I went to school, I love gym. I loved art. You're taking away the creative side of the mind. So when you can't create, or how about when we were kids, we made up games to play.
Yes, indeed. Certainly did.
If they can't find it on PS4 or Xbox or 380, it doesn't exist. If they can't use their thumb, it doesn't exist. So we have to, I use a thing called venture-based education when I do a lot of groups, because it's activities. It's an activity that deals with a processing modality to it. Then what I do is, depending on what activity it is, then I ask them, how do you relate this to your rehab, your recovery? And so now you're doing something, you're physical, you're moving, you have a chance to voice yourself and voice how it works for you or how it doesn't work for you, and how it can fit into the realm of what you're trying to do. And that seems that people are catching on a lot more, because now we got some creativity going with the thinking, the understanding, the talking. A lot of people don't know how to talk. They have become poor communicators.
And that's technology, unfortunately, has really allowed that not to move forth in the right way. And I applaud it in some ways, in some things it allows us, but in others, socially, it really has been a terrible impact on our young people.
Retarded us.
I didn't want to use that word, but you said that.
Stop that progress,
Well, I always have a thing I always say, in theory versus reality. In theory, social media and, like you said, the computer, in theory, great. But in reality, because we overconsume everything, again, the reality is that we've used it we took a good thing and made it a not so good thing. I don't want to say a bad thing, because it's not. Because there's a lot of positive uses, but unfortunately, we use it mainly for the Facebooks or I can't even keep up with all the names, you know, the Facebooks and then the Instagrams and
the what is the other one? Twitter, and all
that stuff.
And I'm still trying to figure out what the Twitter and what's the other one? What's that about? Instagram. I mean, you're still able to communicate with people. What happened to picking up a phone and calling someone, or going to meet them, sit down and have a conversation?
And just the lack of use of the brain capacity and activity. I am surprised at how many people cannot remember a local phone number if you tell them. You know, it frustrates me beyond no mean when I say, well, here, take this number. And they go, well, text it to me. I'm like, it's a local number. I'm not going to remember it. Angelo, text it to me. I'm like, are you serious? It's 7 digits. You don't have to remember 717.
Just leave that one alone.
You know, so it's, again, so the lack of use of our brain capacity. So again, we're training ourselves not to be at our fullest every day, to over rely on, again, technology. And you know, you ever see a person when they lose their phone? They shut down.
They shut down.
They shut down just like the phone has shut down when I'm not around them. They do not know what to do.
Or the remote.
Yeah.
The remote over here.
It's a foreign concept to actually go up and turn the television on. We will look for 20 minutes for the remote before we would actually go in there and press the button.
That's so funny, but that's accurate.
So what about this, though? A lot of our young people seem to be extremely angry, and they have the lack of emotional intelligence. Let's talk about that. I mean, they will do something in a heartbeat just because, boom, you know, but then the long-term consequences of those actions. So talk about the kind of work that you're doing in that regard, whether it be with drugs or with, you know, whatever.
Well, I think one is, I think after our generation, I'm not pinpointing it, that I think we forgot what shame is. There was a time where you didn't want to shame your family.
That's right.
You didn't want to shame your mother or your parents. So go back to the social media. You know, we get on there. I'm on there myself. So, but my children, when they get on there and using certain things, and I'm like, hey, and they're like, Dad, why are you policing us? Because you still my child. You represent me. And they have sometimes they have a hard time with understanding that. They don't know about, people forget shame and what shame is. Two, we have become so disconnected once again with these devices that were kind of meant to help us, but we use them so much that we overuse them, then they end up harming us. And that's all of us, that we don't know how to communicate. I'm a person that believes in energy and vibration. So there's times where my cousin would text me and text me and text me. I'd be like, I'll call them. I'm like, stop texting me. I need to hear your voice. I don't want to text you all day. I need the vibration. That vibration to give you a feeling. Text message make you act emotional because you don't know if it's good or if it's bad. Then when you get to this person, if it's your loved one, you misunderstood the text message. Then you're arguing and fighting, and they're like, that's not what I meant. So the words in written form at times takes away from the voice, the vibration that comes through that phone.
And I think that's why we have so much cyberbullying and stuff like that. You know, kids just saying or doing anything, and you know, and we had it happen in our church. 2 little girls were texting, and one said something, and the other one either mistook it or thought that they were saying. And so, of course, they're not just talking to each other. It's out there for everybody to see. So now it's back, other people jumping involved, and the emotional stuff that gets involved with that is just crazy. And then they take it to school. Now they're not learning, right? They're fighting. They're going to get suspended from school.
That's the
long-term consequences to the parents, because now the parents got to be brought in. It's just it's ridiculous, you know. So you guys have got your hands full.
Yeah, we do. But it's no stranger to us, you know. It's just a different time, and we have to be able to transition as we have with the time. And we love a challenge, because if it's not a challenge, you don't want anything that comes too easy, because then you have no passion for it.
And that's the key word. This is a passion of ours. Trust me, if you don't have a passion for this, I would suggest you know, stay away. I mean, we've all been in the mental health field, and we can share stories all day about, you know, I remember times I would go into supervisions, and you know, some MTs are saying, you know, how students will lock them out the car or not let them in the house. And they would say, well, you know, they would ask me my input. And I'm like, one thing about any client, I say people in general, you know, people can smell a phony a mile away, and no matter what arena it is. And they know when you're not sincere, and they don't take you seriously. They don't think that you have a passion for this, and you're dealing with people's lives. They're going to treat you in that way.
That's right.
So again, you know, you have to have a passion for this. I mean, you have to wake up every day and see this as a challenge, as a positive challenge. You know, what we do is not instant gratification. So to go back to the question you just asked previously that Gino answered is, why are they so angry? Because everything is, and we call this the microwave generation. And I read a book that's called, they call them Generation Y. Because everything is instant. Computers, popcorn, you know, everything they want is at the click of a button. And when they do have to wait for something, they don't know how to do that. Their processing skills and their coping skills aren't, you know, digested on a daily basis for them to be equipped how to handle that waiting time.
Or if something doesn't go their way.
Or something doesn't go their way. Their coping skills are, I mean, they're beyond.
Little to none.
Little to none. They're beyond poor. I mean, because they almost have any. So this is how they act out. So again, this is, to us, while you see more increase in violence and killings on the youth level, not more or less just your adult level, but the youth level, because they don't know how to express their feelings any other way. So you take everything else that's being put in front of them on a daily basis, so to them the ends justifies the means. Okay, you say something to me, you disrespect me, I don't know how to approach you and talk about it, and we could try to figure it out. You know, they don't even fight anymore.
No.
Fighting is a foreign concept. So seriously, it's just about, okay, I'm going to try to harm you with a gun or some type of violent weapon, and you know, try to end your life. And they, because again, they're processing these videos, and all these things are going through their mind subconsciously, and then when they're sitting in jail trying to process what happened, they're really confused. Like, what did I do?
Now, why did I do it?
Yeah, why did I do it? You know, kind of like in I always liken it to A Few Good Men. Remember when they gave the code red, and they were literally in court. Like, what did I do wrong?
Sure.
They really couldn't process what they did wrong. We were following orders. Except for the only difference in there was a verbal order. In this scenario, this is an internal order that they're responding to.
The one thing that always bothered me, and you know, I know we're kind of going off the field, but think about it. You say, don't snitch. Stuff like that, you know, and it becomes that code that you're living by, that everybody's trying to be hard, everybody's trying to be, and it just gets to be real crazy. And our young people cannot process that. They don't know what's going on. So they just become harder and harder and harder. It's sort of akin to what we see in some of these, you know, more foreign countries where they recruit young people, give them a gun, and just tell them to go out and be, and they have no idea what they're fighting for, why they're fighting anything. All they know is that this is what I'm supposed to do, you know. So let's talk about this because, well, I'm intrigued by your name, Nike One. Real close to Nike now. And I'm like, wait a minute. But you guys already vetted that and know that that's okay. You don't have to. It's not a trademark infringement and all that kind of stuff.
There's periods in between.
There's periods in between. That's good. Okay. So,
so
you
Nike.
know.
So the N was for neglect.
I was for identify. K would be the next step would be give you knowledge, and then E would be to enforce that information, that knowledge that we give you. And then one to bring you, you know, oneself.
I like
whatever that would be for that individual.
Yeah, I like the from neglect to knowledge. That's good. Because a lot of times we do neglect to, you know, especially what I see a lot of times with young people in our schools, they neglect to take advantage of the schools. I mean, I know your wife is a principal of a school, and I know she sees it every day. You know, to come in, and we're only talking about some of the students, because a lot of them are doing fine. And we tend to forget that in these conversations, but a lot of them are not, because we know that our prison systems are filled up and all that. Gentlemen, we're running out of time, so let's get some information here. First off, how can people contact you if they're interested in, maybe there's a family out there that needs to have your services?
Well, for me, my contact information is angelocraig@verizon.net. You can reach me there. Like I said, I'm accessible. Every day I respond to every email that I get. And it's just C-R-A-I-G? Yes. Okay, Angelo Craig at Verizon.net. Correct.
And mine is Rafiq, R-A-F-I-Q, 5584 @gmail.com.
Okay, that's a little bit more work, man. Say it again one more time.
It's Rafiq, R-A-F-I-Q, 5584 @gmail.com. I mean, not the 84, 55 @gmail.com.
Okay, 55@gmail.com. Okay, good. Well, thank you both for doing that. And thank you for coming on, because this is great work. And we want to, you know, this show is called Life Esteem for a reason, because we like to bring on positive, people doing positive things. And you guys are certainly doing that. And I know I've known you for a while doing your work, so I know what you're doing, man. So it's really good to see you stepping out there doing what you're doing. And we need more men to step up, and they need support too. We need to, you know, all the community to know that agencies like Nike One exist, and we need you to, you know, support them. They need financial support, they need guidance, they need, you know, and we all start off somewhere, right? And this is a great coming together of two brothers who are literally two brothers trying to do something. So I want to thank you so much, guys, for Nike One. I want to thank you for watching the show. See you next time here on Life Esteem. Goodbye.